Okay. Well, good evening, folks, and welcome to the Marshfield School Committee meeting on Tuesday, the 11th of May, a beautiful, sunny 11th of May. Mrs. Pazerski, if you could please call the roll.
Mr. Costello?
Here.
Ms. Brate?
Here.
Mrs. Campbell?
Here.
Ms. Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Greer?
Here.
Wonderful. Please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, folks, thank you very much. We have some exciting items on our agenda today. We're going to go ahead and start with a great spotlight at South River School, and I'll turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino.
I'm muted here. Sorry about that. So I'm going to have Ms. Baird. I see her, and I see her vice principal is also trying to get on board, Ms. Foltz. We're trying to get her in the room here. But we're going to just talk a little bit about two interdisciplinary projects that have been going on this year. One on a bird and plant unit that the DLP is doing thanks to an MEF grant, as well as the entrepreneurship unit that I was able to get a peek at a couple of weeks ago. That was pretty great to see. And so I just want to turn it over to Ms. Baird, and she can walk us through what happened in those two events.
Thank you for having us. This year we wanted to share a couple of the many awesome things that are happening on a daily basis at South River. I think we all know this year has been quite a challenge, and I think when we thought at the beginning of the year what school would look like, we pictured kids sitting in rows and masks and plexiglass and kind of very traditional schooling. And I think our teachers have really figured out a way to not only teach using Canvas, but using many digital tools and in teaching cohorts, but they also have figured out how to develop some really awesome projects and how to motivate and inspire our students in their student learning and thinking. And we're so proud of all of them. We wanted to just highlight two of those special things tonight, the Entrepreneur Week and also our Bird's Eye View project. I wanted to actually really do a nice shout out to our teachers, who I think some of them are still trying to get on. So, but thank you to Mrs. White, Mrs. Fiorentino, Ms. Hamilton, and Ms. McGuigan for sharing these projects, and to Mrs. Doyle for always putting all the technical pieces together for us, and especially the presentation, which you'll be about to see in a minute. When you hear this presentation, you'll not only hear from our teachers and their words, but also from the students. And when the students are saying these things, these are their own words. And many of their words were written because they reflected on the project at the end. And through that reflection process, we use some of their quotes. So when you know that, it makes it even stand out a little bit more, because it's truly out of the mouths of babes, some of the things that they learned. And really what made this two exciting projects for them. So I will actually have Mrs. Doyle, if she can share her screen, she will actually share the presentation that way. And our teachers are now here, so if we have any questions at the end, they can certainly answer anything. So thank you all.
So do I need to make Ms. Doyle a co-host so she can show her screen?
You do.
That would be great,
Okay,
Jeff. Thank you.
let me do that. There it is. All right. Should be all set there, Ms. Doyle.
Thank you. Just bring it up here.
As we wrapped up units on persuasive writing and decimals, the fourth grade team was looking for a project that students could apply these skills to in a real-world way. In Entrepreneur Week, students were paired up to create a company that sold a product or service that would be appealing to other fourth graders. They developed branding, meaning they chose the colors, they designed logos, they wrote slogans, and some even crafted jingles, all in an effort to promote their products. Teams managed a $100 advertising budget and chose how to spend it on items ranging from TV commercials on Flipgrid to giant billboards in the hallways, or even ads in our morning newspaper. When it came time for shopping day, each student had a $100 budget of their own that they could use to spend on products and services that were interesting to them. They filled out order forms and wrote checks and balanced a checkbook to make sure that they didn't go over their budget. Additionally, we used the robots to deliver all of the orders from classroom to classroom and to deliver products from classroom to classroom. So students got to try their hand out at programming our Ramazon delivery trucks and help fulfill orders for their classmates. The teachers loved the high engagement that we saw from our students in this project. We loved that their learning was connected to a real life situation and that we were able to come up with a project that really touched upon almost every discipline, from math and writing to visual design and advertising to STEM and robotics and even music.
We learned how to start a business
and what it feels like to be business partners.
We learned how to make our posters stand out
And how to work hard and multitask. Some skills I used were making sure to properly write and spell the product descriptions. Also, coming up with marketing tactics was pretty easy for me because of the words I know.
We also learned that advertising is very important.
We learned that our logo has to be big and bright, and you have to do a lot of advertising. We liked the freedom of being able to sell what we wanted and not having to stick to a certain topic. One. F&N's Puppy Products. F&N's Puppy Products is the best serving puppy store in America. Data Church show that when a dog goes to F&N's Puppy Products, they will live a longer and happier life. Now don't let your dog miss out and take them to F&N's Puppy Products.
We learned how to write a check.
We learned how to handle money and budgets.
Students were excited to program the MEF-funded Dash robots to deliver their orders and products from classroom to classroom. Lots of problem solving went into the route design for the Ramazon delivery robots. Notice how these young entrepreneurs realized what went wrong in their programming and eagerly collaborated to improve upon it.
Keep going.
Let's go, William. Just watch behind you for when you're jumping forward.
Oh, I know we did one. I know we did one. We had to do one. Wait, keep going.
Let's go, William. When the new and improved programming finally goes as planned, the kids sure are excited.
Jacob, this is a really cool item. What happened? Jacob, this is a really cool item.
We also really enjoyed the robot delivery service as we thought it was quite clever and a funny way of sending products.
For me, the last day was most challenging because there was so much to do and it felt like a million things were thrown at me at once.
Ashley and Jeremy Stanford, business teachers from MHS and the owners of Sweet Frog in Marshfield, came to talk to the fourth grade about their business. They discussed different business ideas and which ones have potential and which ones might not be successful. They discussed how they came up with their franchise and how much work it was to get it started, but how they've been successful since they've opened it. A big thing they discussed was how they've made many mistakes, but they've learned from them and they've used them to grow their business. And lastly, they answered a bunch of questions that our students had, And the answers to these questions really helped our students finalize their business and make some last minute changes. And they ended their visit by giving each student a sample of Sweet Frog's frozen yogurt, which was the icing on the cake of a lovely visit from Sweet Frogs.
I made sure to put myself last and my customers first.
This project was a great way to incorporate social-emotional learning into our curriculum. Students learned the value of teamwork, turn-taking, being flexible, compromise, and communication. Before beginning work with their partners, we discussed benefits and challenges of working together. It was important for kids to find balance and equity with their ideas and their voices. Compromise was key.
We learned to be patient, that it's okay if something goes wrong, and not to give up.
Working with partners on this was definitely a smart choice. It taught me that sometimes bouncing around ideas with others gives you a chance to improve. It also teaches you that you can't have everything the exact way that you want it because you have to share with your partner.
This year, we were fortunate to receive a mini grant from the Marshfield Education Foundation. This bird unit integrates math, science, reading, and writing. High interest led to increased student engagement in these subjects. The opportunity for my students to practice challenging skills while fostering their many strengths and talents has been invaluable. Overall, it has been a very successful learning experience for all students, and I look forward to replicating this unit for years to come.
We are so lucky to have a window bird feeder so we can see the birds close up.
As birds started to arrive at the bird feeder, students used their identification books to determine which species of birds were arriving. Students then drew the birds and are now developing their own guidebook to the South River School bird community to show all the students at school which birds live in our local habitat.
I made a list of birds that might come to the bird feeder. However, this pesky squirrel did not read the sign.
I was excited to open the box of binoculars so we could observe the birds up close.
This unit brought learning outside and motivated students to write. Here, 2 students are observing birds in the trees surrounding SRS. They became scientists when they observed birds in their natural habitat, collected data, recorded their findings, and shared findings with the class using graphs.
We researched the wingspan of birds from the SRS and learned to measure in feet and inches.
Students measure the bird seed each day to learn about capacity. They also learn about conversions when measuring the bird seed. MEF provided these amazing fiction and nonfiction text for students to read. Students have used the nonfiction text to complete research on an assigned bird, while the fiction text provided opportunities for students to develop comprehension skills, build background knowledge, make connections, and motivate students.
We learned a lot about birds by researching where they live, what they eat, how they nest, and what sounds they make.
Yeah.
We looked inside the plant to see the structure. We shared what we learned about plants and taught our little buddies. We used the engineering and designing process to build a habitat for birds.
MEF provided a birdhouse for each student to take home. This allowed learning to continue at home when we couldn't be in school during the pandemic.
We built birdhouses for bluebirds, wrens, chickadees, cardinals, and many more.
I researched the best colorful birdhouses, and I hit the nail on the head. We have a tenant.
Want to jump on board? That was great. Thank you so much. I do want to add that I had the pleasure of seeing both of those projects in action. The entrepreneurship program, we were able to get over there and see the excitement that the kids had in trading and selling and delivering their goods. And I think that the first day that Ms. White's class got the supplies for the bird project, I just happened to come in that day, and Dr. Martin and I and the kids were just thrilled, pulling everything out of the boxes and separating things and getting them ready and trying to figure out where they were going to be putting things. And it just created a whole lot of excitement for everybody. So I too want to add with what Ms. Baird said before, thanking the MEF, especially on that project, because that was another one of their mini grants that they afforded us this year and this unique year, and it really paid off.
Great. Well, that was awesome. Great presentation. And there's nothing like, and I'm sure the rest of the committee and those folks here will agree with me, there's nothing like a nice reminder of how much I actually miss having students as part of the spotlight, like that much, and having it be so centered around the students directly. So thank you for all of the effort that went into bringing that to us as well, not just the fantastic content, but just the ability to hear from the students, even in middle of something like what we're facing now and what we've been facing this year. It really is very nice to hear from them.
They certainly tell the story the best, that's for sure.
They certainly do. And kudos to you and your whole staff, because there's clearly a lot of great things going on at South River, and as well to the MEF for making all of this possible. I'm sure I have at least a couple of my colleagues here who want to say something, and I see Lara Brait has already unmuted herself, so why don't you go right ahead, Lara?
Sure, thanks so much. I have permagrin because I was smiling the whole time I was watching that. That made me so happy. So first of all, as the director of the Chamber of Commerce in Marshfield, I would love to have that video and show it to our board of directors, because I know that they will love that. Mrs. Stanford is on our board, and I'm actually mad at her that she didn't invite me to come and see this in person. The Ramazan, whose idea was that? Whose idea was that? The delivery truck. That's genius. I love that. I feel like that's going to be like a new thing.
That's Jen Fiorentino's cleverness.
Amazing.
Ramazan.
I love it. I love it.
Perfect.
That's so awesome. I love that the kids learned how to write checks, logo design, working together. The robot's awesome. It just shows how much things have changed since I've been in school. We didn't have that when I was there. I love all the new things that they're learning. My favorite part is that you highlighted that making mistakes is okay. And I know we do that even as adults all the time. But that's how we all learn and we grow. So I love that. As far as the birds, I'm actually jealous that there were all those, the birds were actually in the feeders. I have one of those feeders on my window and I can't get a bird to move in. So I'm going to need some tips, Mrs. Barrett. You know, the observation, the writing, and again, MEF is awesome. We're so lucky. I know I always talk about Marshfield and how much I love it, but we're really lucky that we have such an awesome organization like that. So thank you guys so much for your time. Your dedication is amazing. Thank you for everything that you do.
As always, Ms. Brait, well said. Any other comments from the committee? Ms. Boyd, I knew you'd be next.
I just also want to say thanks. That was such a fun presentation. And I think like all of us, I miss seeing the kids and seeing some of the projects in action. And I remember being at South River School and seeing the robots, I think when we first got them, and they were doing races up and down the gym floor in one of the assemblies, and the excitement on the kids was so great to see. These are amazing projects, and I do want to sort of chime in and say thank you to the teachers that have worked so hard to bring some of these really creative and innovative and imaginative and most importantly fun things for kids to be doing this year and learning in the process. You know, and I've seen you know, the support of the Marshfield Education Foundation has been critical in that too. I think they gave out 30 grants this fall specifically for projects to help kind of special pivots in learning and activities and making things possible. And I think these are two amazing examples. And thank you so much for bringing them to us so we can see them.
You're welcome.
Ms. Boyd, thank you. Any other comments? Go right ahead, Ms. Campbell.
That's me. You know, echoing obviously everything that Ms. Brait and Ms. Boyd have already said, but I really love that the kids were given so much freedom and so much choice in what they were working on. This is a conversation that Ms. Kemet and I have been having a lot over at the Furnace Brook. Anytime kids are given the choice of what they want to do, they take so much more ownership, and I think they work harder and they're so invested. And so I loved seeing that. And also in addition to the sort of interdisciplinary things that both projects showed, I think it was amazing to see our kids able to collaborate, especially in a year where they had times they were working at home and maybe not working with classmates, but to see them learn problem solving and communication skills and how to work with somebody else, like all of those, I guess, skills are going to serve them so well going into, you know, middle school, high school, and into adulthood. So thank you all so much for the hard work you put into those projects. They were amazing.
Thank you very much, Ms. Campbell. Seeing no other comments from members of the committee, want to once more thank you and your team for being here and for such a great presentation and for kicking our meeting off in such a great way, especially when it's been such a beautiful day, and this was just another great part of that. So thank you so much for being here with us and for sharing two wonderful programs that you've got going on. We know there's so many more than just these two happening at South River, but this
I was
is
just
a nice
going to
little
say
place
that
for us.
it was hard to pick. So
Yeah, I'm sure
thank
it
you
was.
to all the teachers who are here tonight after a very long day of MCAS,
Yes.
for all of them who are present. So
Yes.
we really do appreciate their time, and the time it takes to even share is, you know, quite a bit for them, not only to do the project, but to even make the presentation. So thank you all, because I know it's a lot, and we so appreciate you sharing the awesome things that you do each day. So thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks to all of you and to the tech wizard, Blake Doyle. Thank you very much. So thanks so much, folks. We're going to move on with our agenda. I'm going to just switch a few things around here. We're going to take the informational updates and move them to the end of the meeting, because I know we have some folks here with us tonight for our other agenda items, but I am going to make sure that I recognize public participation first. So if you would like to speak in public comment, now is the time to use the raise hand feature. And if you do that, I will call on you and recognize you for your minute and 30 seconds.
Shit.
Oh. I'm going to give folks just another 10 seconds or so to unmute them, so to raise their hand. Oh, there we go. Go ahead, Ashley.
Hi, sorry, I didn't see where the raise hand feature was.
You're good. I saw you raising it. You're all set.
So I'm just going to read this statement that I've put together.
Sure, and if you could just start, Ashley, I'm sorry, with your name and address.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Ashley McKinnon, 184 Valley Path.
Thank you.
I speak tonight on behalf of myself and 70 other parents within the district who are urging you to allow the children to remove their masks while they are outside and distanced during outdoor classroom instruction. To date, data has shown that the rate of outdoor transmission is less than 1%. It has also shown that children under the age of 12 are not severely affected, nor do they easily transmit the virus. Couple that data with the fact that all Marshfield teachers and school staff are vaccinated or have been given the opportunity to be vaccinated. We feel that allowing children to remove their masks outside poses no additional risk. When I inquired about this with Superintendent Granatino, he stated that per DESE guidelines, all students, teachers, and staff were required to wear masks. That is true. However, when I spoke with DESE, while they do require masks indoors, they give no specific guidelines surrounding outdoor activity. Since September, DESE has provided guidance, but allowed the districts to make the decisions they felt were best for them. That being said, I have spoken with the Marshfield Board of Health and Dr. Irons, who I am aware is the pediatric advisor for Marshfield schools. My findings show that there is adequate data to support unmasking the elementary students while outdoor classroom instruction is conducted. We urge the school committee, in partnership with the teachers union and the superintendent, to allow our elementary students to remove their masks while outside. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ashley. Much appreciated. Anybody else for public comment? I'm going to give you just one more chance to use the raise hand feature. I'm going to go ahead and recognize Sally Marples, and then I'll recognize you, Eric Kelly. So I'm going to unmute you, Sally.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Sarah Marples, president of the Marshfield Education Association. First, I would like to congratulate Kendra Stetson Campbell and Mr. Sean Costello on their, I don't know if it's congratulations or commiserations on your reelection to the school committee. Although after this year, I don't think there's anything that the world can throw at you that you won't be able to successfully handle. But I do want to congratulate you on being back on the school committee. I also just wanted to inform you that on Thursday afternoon, a number of our members will be going up to Quincy for a rally to try to get the state to re-examine their policy on MCAS, both in having students at the elementary level taking them and also as making it a requirement for graduation. We all know that we need to be held to a standard. Yes, particularly this use of students' time. And moving forward, we're hoping that DESE will be a little bit more flexible about it. For any parent who's had a student or a child who has struggled with MCAS because of their particular gifts, I can tell you the alternative ways to get a diploma if you don't pass MCAS is almost impossible to implement. So we really hope, for the sake of our students, for time on learning, and for the amount of anxiety, unnecessary anxiety it causes our students, that anybody who wishes to join and wants to know more information about that, please feel free to contact me. And if you want to carpool, I'm leaving from Brook parking on Thursday afternoon and happy to give you a ride. So again, congratulations on your reelection, and have a good evening. And I will be here, but I'm going to hide myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marples. So I think if I heard her correctly, if anybody needs a ride to like the store or anything like that, just give her a call and she'll be happy to swing by and pick you up. Eric Kelly, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you now.
Thanks, Sean. If you're carpooling, obviously you can't be that afraid of the COVID, huh? So in regards to this election, we've had a low turnout. And over the years, I think a lot of us have tried to figure out a way to get more voters to the polls. Looking at all the emails I've been getting from the school system in regards to notices, and then there was one that was recently sent out in regards to some gifting or something like that with the businesses in town. I'm hoping the board will take it up and vote on it, that in the near future, that the school will use its email system to notify the parents and grandparents, whoever else is in this system. I'm sure you got a whole bunch of people in there the day before the election to remind them to go and vote. I would appreciate that. I think a lot of people in town appreciate that, because a lot of people I talked to after the election in regards to voting, one of the most common themes I've heard is, I forgot. So I would appreciate it if the school board would take it up and take a vote on it in regards to sending out a notice like they do everything else with the ties into the school in regards to when the election comes up, because we all know we want everybody to participate in it. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Eric. Much appreciated and well put. If there's anybody else for public comment, I ask you to raise the hand feature now. If not, I will move on. I'm just making sure there's nobody. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, folks. Seeing none, we're going to move on now. I'm going to take things a little bit out of order and start with the Martinson roof update. As I see, our town administrator is here, as well as our town treasurer collector. So Mr. Moresco and Mr. Della Russo, thank you both very much. And I know Matt Parent is here as well to be with us on this item. Matt, thank you. So we will go ahead. I'll turn it on over to Mr. Miller to kick us off with this item. Go right ahead, Mr. Miller.
Thanks, Mr. Costello. Mr. Ferrantino, could you, Matt, do you have the presentation? You can make Matt a host.
Actually, I'm going to be making the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
So so with us this evening, as Mr. Costello stated, Town Administrator Moresco, Treasurer Collector Della Russo, and Matt Parent from the Energy Committee. So they are going to give us a little update on where the town stands with regard. Fred, Fred Russell, our facilities manager, is here as well. Sorry, Fred. I don't mean to slay you. Fred's definitely involved in this project as well.
Tom, I'll take a step here. I'm sorry, Mr. Moresco. What account are you under here?
Kathleen Moresco.
Kathleen Moresco. Okay, with the C. Okay, yep.
And Mr. Parent should be the co-host because he's going to pull the slides up.
Okay, I'll do that then. I'm trying to find them on my list here.
So they're going to give an update on what the Energy Committee is doing with solar projects across the town, which also includes the prospects for what we are going to do with our school buildings as well. This is going to tie into the Martinson roof project. As you know, we were looking at submitting another statement of interest with the Massachusetts School Building Authority, but I will hand over the presentation to Mike, Patrick, and Matt, and they'll give you a little update on where we are on that front as well. So, Mike, if you want to start, that'd be great. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tom. Before I get into the presentation, I just want to say how impressed I was with the presentation from the South River School. We are blessed with probably some of the most talented teachers that are inspiring the young minds of our children that go there. And really the thanks really spreads across all boundaries. It's the school committee for all of their support, the superintendent and his staff, the leadership in the schools, and it's very impressive. I would love to have a copy of that presentation to present at the selectmen's meeting at a future meeting coming up. We have one in a couple of weeks, so if we could get that, that would be wonderful. Tonight, I just want to take a few minutes. So on our solar team, we're joined by Matt Parent, who is the town's energy consultant, Patrick Della Russo, our finance director, and Fred Russell, our director of facilities, and myself, and we're involved and we are part of the solar team. So just to give a little background on this, when I got hired as the town administrator, one of the things that the selectmen had spoken to me about was my thoughts about green technology. And I was very excited to hear them say that. I very much got involved with green communities. We've gotten a number of grants to improve LED lighting at the schools, town hall, the fire headquarters, the sewer plant, etc. And along with that, we do power purchasing agreement for electric and for gas. I also got an electric vehicle. We're moving to move the town's fleet to electric vehicles on cars that various departments use. Most recently, town meeting approved, before COVID, approved aggregate electric, which will allow people to go as green as they want. I just went through the Department of Public Utilities hearings, and we should be hearing more about that. What I'm excited to talk about tonight, though, is the PPA. Patrick has spent a great deal of time with the Department of Revenue. We're working with No Fossil Fuel. They were the most responsive, qualified company. We had sent out a request for a proposal, and No Fossil Fuel was one of the 5 participants. They had presented the town with the best option of going green and the most money that we would be able to collect. And that is for the Cap landfill. The Cap landfill, we're going to be putting a solar array field where we've gone through permitting now. We're waiting for the sign off from the power utility company. They have to make sure that they can take the power up on the grid. Once they sign that document, we'll be able to put that in. You know, we want to go green. We live in a very beautiful area, environmentally sensitive area with our rivers, etc. So this is sort of the thinking to get into green and being able to save money, get our utility costs down. And actually, you'll see that we're going to be in competition with the state because we may get to going green quicker than the state. And overall, tonight, what you'll see when I go through the presentation is that over a 20-year period of time, we will be able to bring in an additional $2 to $2.5 million per year for 20 years. Why is that important? Well, that's tantamount to doing a override every single year, but we don't have to tax the residents. Any of us who are taxpayers don't have to pay. The money will come from the power that's created through the photovoltaics. And with that, there are many great things that we'll be able to do. What's significant with the schools, and why I'm happy to share this, is under our shared revenue agreement, the schools will be able to get in 60 to 65% of those revenues each and every year. So it's important to all of us. So let me just quickly get in. Matt's here to answer any technical questions that the chairman, the superintendent, the school committee may have. And Patrick's here to answer any of the financial questions that I might not be able to answer because I don't have the answers to every single question. So let's get into this. If we could flip the page, summary. As electric and gas prices have steadily increased, the Marshfield plans for the future, we have identified several locations around town to install solar electric photovoltaics. This will allow us to be more energy resilient, tackle climate change head on, meeting the state's goal of 80% clean energy by 2035, and create a consistent source of revenue for the next 20 years. One of the things I want to mention, because, you know, people, when they talk about photovoltaics, and you may see them, if you want to take a ride and see what it looks like, you can take a ride right up on Clay Pit Road. You'll see a private solar array field on the Sylvester Ray property. And the important thing I want to mention is photovoltaics don't leak. There's no chemicals that leach out of them. You know, there's a lot of misinformation that goes out all the time. You know, people are saying they leak, they could be bad for the ground. They're all solid state. They don't leak, and it's state-of-the-art technology. And, you know, the solar array panels themselves are good from anywhere from 20 to 30 years before they need to be replaced. You can have the next slide, please. School costs of electricity and natural gas. In 2016, schools used 4,350,411 kilowatt hours, plus 241,109 BTUSs, which is gas, at a cost of $400,928. 3 years later, in 2019, the same group of buildings used 4,464,172 kilowatts and about 315,288 BTUSs of gas for a cost of $512,567. And you can see from those numbers, it illustrates a 22% cost increase in just 4 years. Next slide, please. Now, financial summary. You can see from the chart. So what we did is we thought it was important to show the various schools. So we got the schools listed under location: Marshfield High School, Furnace Brook, Daniel Webster, South River, Amesway, Governor Winslow, and Martinson. In the next immediate column is the system size kilowatt hour of what we would have for photovoltaic. So, and Marshfield High School, 547 kilowatt hours, Furnace Brook, 1,125, Daniel Webster, 445, South River Fire Station area, 392, Amesway, 245, Governor Winslow, 473, Martinson, 585, which is 382, 3,812 system size kilowatt hours. In the next column is the annual revenue, and you can see, I know everyone can read, so you see that would tally up annually to 531,468, which over 20 years calculates out to $10,629,360. Next slide, please. If you look in this slide, this gives you sort of a close-up view without having to climb up on the roof on what the photovoltaics look like. There's two different styles that are shown there. There's the roof mount ballast system and a roof mount flush mount on reels. Next slide, please. Solar electric in a parking lot is a carport. A solar array canopy in a parking lot is called a solar carport. Each carport works within the parking lot layout and does not interfere with being able to park. An added benefit to a solar carport is that it provides shade and canopy against the weather. Parking under a solar carport is better for your car. Snow plowing is easier with a solar carport because there is less to plow. Each carport is built so cars and trucks and others cannot just knock into them. Carport is also wind rated at 145 miles per hour winds. They are extremely well built. All operations and maintenance of the solar carport is the solar developer's responsibility. Next slide. And this just illustrates the one on the left, carport with the outer post. That's one particular style. The carport to the right has the center post, just for you to see what it looks like. If we could go to the next slide. And this is an illustration you'll see in blue where they would put the photovoltaics on the roof of the high school. Next slide. The Furnace Brook School. And it shows the parking lot area also. Next slide. The Martinson School. And we're going to come back to the Martinson School because this is why we're here tonight, is to talk about the roof replacement, which is most beneficial to not only the schools but the town, because no fossil fuel is going to cover the cost of the roof replacement. But we'll come back to that with some specifics. Next slide, please, is the Daniel Webster School, and just illustrates where everything will go. South River School. And next slide is the Amesway School. Next slide is the Governor Winslow School. Okay, no cost agreement. The agreement is a power purchase agreement in which the developer assumes all the financial risk. Experience: a solar developer, no fossil fuel, has experience working in Marshfield and Massachusetts for over 20 years. Construction process: the solar developer is responsible for the design, engineering, utility impact study, permitting, construction, and maintenance. Roof replacement: if a roof needs to be replaced, it's solar developer's responsibility to remove the system while the roof is being replaced, and then the system's put back up. The reason that that's in there is that once they go up on the roof, if the roof needs to be serviced, the roof needs to be replaced, they do that at a cost to them to go back up there. So, we talk about going forward, it's sort of a 20-year, then we can do another 20-year renewal. And like I said, the photovoltaic panels themselves last about 20 or 30 years. So they'll replace them because they want to be able to continue to generate this clean electricity. Battery storage: all battery storage is UL compliant. It meets all safety regulations. Maintenance, the solar developer assumes all responsibility for maintenance of the system and site. Any damage to the property due to a solar array is the solar array developer's responsibility to fix. And these are just not words, they sign an agreement. We have an agreement with No Fossil Fuel where they assume those responsibilities. We have a PPA and we have a pilot program for their equipment. Monitoring, all systems are monitored live online for everyone to see. Next slide, please. Additional benefits, going clean. This would be a great tool to educate the kids about clean energy, show them how energy is produced from the beginning to the end. Career path, there are millions of jobs in clean energy, engineering, installation, design, business development, research. This hits kids on various paths in math, science, trades, business, finance, and entrepreneurs. Town participation involved the Furnace Brook and High School green teams and the elementary students also. What I would like to do now is turn it back over to Patrick Delarusso to go back to the Martinson School roof, because I know that is what we're most interested in, and he can get into the numbers and how the process will evolve. Patrick.
Thank you guys very much. So as I think our last idea of a quote around the cost from Martin schools during the budget process that
it's hard to hear, Patrick.
I apologize. So during the budget process, we review capital items with Mr. Miller and Mr. Granatino. We identified an approximate cost of the school, Martin School roof, be around $4.8 million. That translates to, on a 20-year scale, around $420,000 being added to our operational debt, or have to go to town meeting for a debt exclusion, right? On a 30-year scale, that's $280,000 annually, get with our principal and interest, P&I, right? What this does is takes that off the table overnight and actually generates money at $60,000 a year, which the schools currently would get 60 to 65% of. You get a new roof and you get $60,000 a year, right? Should the school committee do a vote to support? What Michael and I did with the DOR is we've developed the only deal of this size in the Commonwealth has been reached and agreed upon in writing from DOR legal. What that does is that this sets up all this revenue to fall into the pilot area of our local receipts that we report to the DOR. And Michael's 100% correct. Those numbers are real numbers. They've been approved to form. And this will be lasting revenue, right, on top of this roof, right, for this period of time. That translates annually for the schools, just on the projects mentioned tonight, to be around $300,000 just on the stuff that you see in front of you tonight. Most importantly, the roof piece of it alleviates operational debt. Remember, coming right out of both of our budgets at $420,000 a year. So equate that to teachers, staff, resources, maintenance. This problem goes away, and that's why we'd like to vote of support from the school committee this evening.
Matt, I don't know if there's anything that you would like to add as our consultant.
I would just like to emphasize this is a power purchase agreement, as you stated. So there's no responsibility or anything that the town has to do. The solar developer will do all the engineering, do all the assessment. Any mistakes that are done, he takes responsibility. So looking at Martinson, we'll look at everything top to bottom as far as design and engineering, making sure everything is done properly. The carports will be looked at. Actually, Fred brought up a question today. What if somebody throws a rock at it? Those little things are taken into consideration as, yes, they will fix it for free. No questions asked. It's all in the power purchase agreement. We've looked at it for the last, 8 months, and it's rock solid, we think.
Excellent. No pun intended on that, Matt. Very good segue.
You're welcome.
Fred, anything you would like to add as facility director?
The only thing I'd like to add is that, we're going to make sure that the structural engineering evaluation is done satisfactory to make sure that, one, we can support these panels, and two, the existing structures are adequate, and we'll address any deficiencies of that, and that's included as well. Other than that, no, I think we've covered everything else, Mike.
Great. Thank you, Fred. Questions? We're happy to entertain and answer any questions.
Would you guys be able to just, I know this is probably a little bit of unknown, but just an idea on the timeline and what will we be looking at moving forward?
You know, right now we're in the process, all the paperwork's in. They're waiting for the power company to give them the go-ahead. Once they get, you know, I'm hoping that comes, you know, this summer or, you know, or by September. The No Fossil Fuel knows that the Martinson is one of the outside of the cap landfill. That's a separate project, but we would like to advance the Martinson school immediately.
It's a priority, and we also did explain to them. We do understand the school's timeline, obviously, to submit to DESE, and you know, Michael and I were very adamant that, you know, we would be doing this in cooperation with the schools, right? And we don't want you guys to miss a timeline whatsoever. And so the pressure's on. Michael's been instrumental with talking to our state reps, state senator, to advance this. And the pressure is where it's a full court press is the best way I can say this right now with them. We want a result, an up or down, right, by September 1 by the power company as to what we have to do to make this an achievable goal. Once that's done, really do we bring in, it's just like another roof project, Mr. Miller. That's what it is. It's just, you know, you guys just cut through with one of those. So you guys are well versed.
And just to add real quick, so the as you mentioned, the interconnection applications are into Eversource, and we're already seeing some of their approval on other projects. These will be soon to follow.
Excellent.
Any other
A quick question. From a technical end, if we have a couple new roofs already done, we have Furnace Brook, we have the high school, obviously, which is only 8 years old. What is their commitment if they put panels up there and there's any damage to those roofs? Or Mr.
Superintendent Chuck Granatino, they're responsible for any damage that they incur in insulation. If the roof needs to be serviced and worked on, they will take the panels up. They'll get the roof repaired and then reinstall.
And what about
they assume all liability?
And we have warranties on our existing roofs. Those two that I'm speaking to. Is there any concern of putting those warranties in violation?
No.
Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
I'm sorry, no, this is just a school committee member forum. I apologize. But if there's any members of the committee that have questions, I'd be happy to recognize them at this moment. And first of all, of course, want to thank Mr. Maresco, Mr. Delarusso, Mr. Parent, of course, Mr. Russell, for all their work bringing this forward. Mr. Maresco, it's rare that we have the occasion to have our town administrator with us, so we appreciate you being here. Same to you, Mr. Delarusso. But I know there's members of the committee. Let me see if I can make this.
I can see some.
Because the screen's being shared, if you're a member of the committee that has a question, why don't you go ahead and jump right in? I thought I heard Ms. Boyd.
Sure. Hi, and thank you very much. This is fascinating. A lot of this is new to me, so I just have two questions really. One is I'd love a little bit more information about how the revenue generation works. And then the second question I have is I think what I've heard tonight is that you're looking to install the panels, I'll just call them because I can't pronounce the other word, on the roof of every school building. And there's the proposal is to build some carports. And so my second question is how many carports and where?
So let me answer the first question. So how do they generate revenue? The photovoltaics, the glass panels attract the sun. The sun creates electricity. Then electricity goes to a transfer box, which goes to the pole, then out to the lines.
Sold to the grid.
And it's sold to the grid. And that's how we make the money. They pay us for that, and that's how the revenue is generated. And based on the size of the photovoltaics, the size of the carport, those all calculate. So in this report, we had it broken down by school. Matt did a fantastic job on putting the presentation together. When you look at it, Matt, maybe you could go to one where the carports go. Okay, on the if you're looking at the screen, you'll see that there are carports. And, we haven't decided the style. Certainly, we'll would like input from the school if they want carports that have the end piece or carports that are supported in the middle. But the carports, when you go out and see them, I don't know if anyone's seen them.
Mr. Marisco, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm not sure what's going on, but your microphone seems to be going just in and out a little bit. Sometimes you're at perfect volume and sometimes it's very quiet.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Much better. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're looking at, so the carports are becoming very popular now. If you have recently been to UMass Amherst, or you've been in downtown Boston, there are certain areas where they have the carports on open parking lots. And in the winter, they keep the snow from being there. In the summer, they provide some shade. But the great feature of it is that they are a generator of clean, green, electric energy, which then for us calculates into a revenue source, a significant revenue source, somewhere between $2 and $2.5 million once everything is built and generating. The carports, what we want to do is maximize the space available and create as much green as we can. So we're putting carports at the DPW, we're putting carports at the police station, we're putting carports at the senior center. We're also putting photovoltaics on the roof of those buildings and other municipal buildings that we have. More than likely, we're going to also be putting carports, photovoltaics. You can photovoltaics on the Cap landfill, which is a solar array field, and a solar array field at the sewer plant. And the one at the sewer plant is not added into our calculation. But one of the things that they look for beyond putting the solar array fields, the rooftop units in the carports, one of the things is you can't take trees down. So they look, so if you have a lot of open space, like the Cap landfill, you can do this, but it's counterintuitive because the whole idea of green energy is to protect the environment if you take trees down. So it's kind of very interesting. We've been for the last couple of years learning more than I ever thought I would learn about green energy, photovoltaics, self-contained units. But they're when you see them, they're actually nice looking. You can actually Google UMass Amherst Student Center parking lot, and you'll be able to see the photovoltaics and how the cars can, easily maneuver under them. I remember when I saw it about 4 or 5 years ago when I was up there and they first had them installed. It was like one of the first projects that the Commonwealth itself did. That was the first university in the state system that did it. So a number of folks were invited up, and I happened to go up and take a look at it. And I never thought that I'd be 4 years ago, I'd be town administrator. 5 years ago, I'd be town administrator. And here, working on this type of project that would benefit us environmentally, but really help us tremendously financially.
Yep. Okay. So what I'm hearing though, but you haven't decided how many carports might be built yet.
I don't know what the numbers are, how many actual, what it translates. Matt, is that a question that you could answer at the picture we're looking at?
As far as the revenue generated from
the number of carports. Ms. Boyd's asking.
We're looking at, we're trying to do it thoughtfully. We're not trying to jam it all over the place. So the Furnace Brook parking lots were designed, in a way that it looked good and it fit appropriately on both sides of the middle school. At this point, that's the only location we're looking for on the school properties.
Okay.
If you wanted to go see Mendon Upton, well, it's about an hour away, but they have put carports in their parking lot, and you can see it firsthand there.
Great. And I just have one more question.
Sure.
So I understand the revenue generating aspect of this. Then is there also any savings? Like, can the schools tap into this source somehow at all and save energy, like save some of our energy costs or our energy bills? Just curious.
Yes, yeah, so I'm gonna defer to Patrick on that, and let Patrick, our finance director, answer.
So what this would effectively do, right, is that there's X amount of dollars, $25,000 per month per this agreement that we did up. Given the fact that it's such a complex deal that we made, right? In the town has over 1,000 different types of energy bills and energy general ledger accounts already. The best way to get this approved by DOR rather than having them pass municipal legislation was to do it this way, whereas we're going to get a check. Mr. Maresco, the town administrator in the agreement, has $25,000 per month in energy credits that he gets to choose on an annual basis of which account to offset, which I'm sure that, through the process with Mr. Miller and Mr. Granatino, I'm sure we'll be able to work out some sort of an agreement on an annual basis to offset town and school utilities alike. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. Is there any more questions from you? Nope. Good. Okay, I know at least two other members have questions. I'll go ahead with Ms. Campbell and then I'll go to Ms. Bright, if that's okay with them. Go ahead, Ms. Campbell.
Thank you. I just have one question, but before I ask my question, I hope it's okay that Mr. Maresco and Mr. Della Russo, I just wanted to say thank you to you both for all the work you've done at our vaccine site. I saw that you guys, and we were able to give the 50,000th vaccine last week. So just, I wanted to publicly thank you. We've talked a lot about the vaccine site on our school committee calls this year, but neither of you have been present. I spent the day with Mr. Della Russo down there on Saturday, but just thank you both for all your hard work that you put into that. It's really, really appreciated.
Well, thank you, Ms. Stetson. I appreciate that. And, we're excited. We're now doing 16 to 18-year-olds, and we're going to be looking at doing a pilot program for students that are 12 to 16 also.
Thank you for that. My question, and I think you've already answered it, but I just wanted to be sure that I was 100% clear. That none of these panels, it sounds like all of the maintenance, everything is handled by the company. So our custodial staff will have no additional work on their plate if we move forward with this. Is that correct?
That is 100% correct.
Okay.
No fossil fuel is responsible for all the upkeep, the maintenance, replacement, whatever needs to be done.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. I know Ms. Bright has a couple of questions, but just before I turn it over to her, I just have a very quick one. And you may not even know this, and totally okay if you don't, but are there any other school districts that come to mind that may have done something similar in the past few years? And Mr. Miller might be able to answer that as well. Oh. You're muted. Mr. Maresco, I'm sorry. It looks like you're answering the question. I can't hear you at all.
Oh.
I was just jumping in and just saying that my experience at Canton, we had two of our schools have solar panels added to them my last year there. Same type of plan where the solar company took ownership of the implementation and the maintenance of them, and we got the cost savings. It was a town school.
Right.
Combination. They needed our units, we needed their units to make it work, and both sides were able to. I'm not sure it was happening as I was leaving, so I'm not sure what the end game was for their dollars, but I know it's been in place there for at least 6 years, 7 years.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that's exactly what I was looking for. Mr. Maresco, I apologize if you had anything to add there, sir.
Having some technical difficulties with.
Oh, there you are. I can hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay. So it took Patrick about 6 to 9 months to negotiate with DOR. This is the largest PPA approved by the DOR.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Go ahead, Ms. Bright. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Della Russo. I'm sorry. Did you have something to add?
Yeah. So to speak to Mr. Grant.
Oh, can't hear you again.
You might be frozen.
We are the current agreement that we have is the schools recognize 60 to 65% of the revenue annually, which is why the increases are between 3 to 3.2% over the past couple of years from during the budget process.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Now go ahead, Ms. Bright.
Sure. Thanks so much. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Can we possibly stop the screen share?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so my question is, it sounds like this company, No Fossil Fuel, is great and is agreeable and is doing awesome things and has a great reputation. Is there any clause in your agreement that talks about if this company is sold or acquired by a new company?
Yes, all the appropriate language is in there to protect us. Not only the town council, we actually hired outside a specialty labor, Jones Day attorneys, who specialize in PPA agreements all over the country. So they were our outside counsel that negotiated this contract so that we're protected. You know, if it's sold, the same guarantees go with whoever purchases No Fossil Fuel if they're to be sold.
Our deal carries through. Right? No matter what company purchases them, should they sell. The same deal will stand in the same format as written in the PPA.
Okay, great. Mr. Costello, I'm not sure if anybody else has any questions, but it seems like time is of the essence here. And I just wanted to let you know that I'll be comfortable moving this forward tonight if the other members of the committee are.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Breda. If that's the sense of the committee, I look to the others. Yep. Okay, that seems to be no issue with that. So if that's true, I would be certainly open to accepting a motion for the school committee to issue their support for this project. Is there such a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved from Ms. Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. If there's no other questions before we move to a vote, I just want to make sure that everybody else has gotten a chance to say, Mr. Granatino, Mr. Miller, if you had anything else to add, I would certainly welcome you to do that. But seeing none, go ahead, Mr. Granatino.
No, I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? And that's a 5-0-0. Thank you very much, folks.
Mr. Chairman, thank you, and thank you to the school committee for that support. Would like to come back, and we want to keep updating the school committee as we get closer and we move forward. And we'll keep in constant communication with the superintendent and the assistant superintendent for business, Tom Miller.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marisco. We look forward to that, and we appreciate your update here tonight, as well as Mr. Delarusso, Mr. Parent, Mr. Russell, as always, and just all the hard work. And I think Ms. Campbell said it perfectly. It's been a tough year for everybody, and you guys are doing a fantastic job. So thank you so much for being here with us tonight and taking your time.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
You as well.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on next to the school handbooks, which I believe is the rest of our crowd seems to be here for. So I'll go ahead and turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino, for one of our favorite items of the year. Go ahead, sir.
Well, I don't want to disappoint you, but it might be a quicker item than you expect, mainly because, first of all, we have handbook revisions in from Governor Winslow, Amesway, Furnace Brook, and Martinson. And we are, at our next meeting, we're going to have the high school, Daniel Webster, and South River School. I believe, unless there was changes today, Ms. Pazerski, that's correct. And so you have in the packet those four appendixes. It's, again, the appendix for each of the buildings, which is typically the school-specific nuances and rules and regs and protocols for that specific school. So as you know, the elementary schools all have an appendix that they work, or a overarching handbook that covers all of the elementary schools. We have it for 6 to 8, we have it for 9 to 12, and then each school will add specific information that's pertinent to their school. So I asked each of the principals as they were putting this together, of the four that are before you, if there's any substantive changes made before the committee, and usually that's what we look to present, and they'll speak to it if need be. And there are none that are really more than administrative adjustments to the handbooks. So by all means, I believe we have the group here, almost all of them. I know I see Ms. Kemet, I saw Ms. Hubbard before. A few others, I can't see them on my screen right now for some reason, but if you have questions, we can go forward. If not, I mean, you can move to accept, and we'll go from there, and then we'll have the other three at the next meeting.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I guess I'll turn it on over to the rest of the committee if you have any questions for these fine educational leaders who are here with us tonight. No?
One thing that will be updated is the calendar. There may be some tweaks to the calendar, so that's in the conference schedule as well for next year. We're still fine tuning that, so that might be added in after the fact. But the foundation of the handbooks are complete, and they're great as always.
Awesome. Not surprised. So if the school committee has no questions, I want to thank the principals who are here with us, not just for taking your time tonight and for all the work that you've done on this item, but just the work that you've done this year. Sometimes we don't get the chance to say it to you in the public forum, but the fact that you're here tonight gives us the opportunity to thank you for all of the hard work that you've put in as we near the end of the year. We're probably about a little over a month away, and just want to say thank you. You are all fantastic, so we appreciate it. We'll look to the rest of the committee if nobody has any questions. Mr. Greer, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick question. I just want to know exactly which ones we're voting on. I lost track.
It's yes, sir. It is the Martinson, the Furnace Brook, the Governor Winslow, and the Amesway. And at the next meeting, we'll have the high school, the Daniel Webster, and the South River School for you.
Okay, just for the record, I want the high school broken out separately. I don't want to lump it in the vote for the next meeting.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Greer. Any other questions, comments from the rest of the committee? Okay, so the chair would then entertain a motion to approve the handbooks for the Furnace Brook Middle School, the Governor Winslow School, the Amesway School, and the Martinson School. Is there such a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Mr. Greer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you very much, Ms. Campbell. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? That's a 5-0-0. Thank you very much, folks, and thank you again to you folks for being here with us tonight. We have 2 items left before we'll move on to our informational portion. We're going to go ahead now to the 2022 to 2023 academic calendar. Turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino.
Sure. You have a draft in front of you, or in your packet, I should say, that is the 2022 to 2023 school year calendar. It's a draft form. We like to get it out early, obviously, and have you take a look at it. We do not have to take a vote on it tonight. But again, this is one of the ones, if you remember, for our last teacher negotiations, we have the start date based on where Labor Day falls. And since Labor Day is September 6th that year, we are starting the week before Labor Day. I think it's after anything 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We go earlier. So we'll be starting the year on the 29th and wrapping things up, if there's no snow, on June 12th that year. But if you have any general questions right now, again, we can hold off on voting so you can take a look-see over the next couple of weeks. But we just want to get out a first draft for you to take a peek at. It's pretty straightforward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Granatino. Any questions from the members of the committee at this time? No? Okay, I do think we'll keep this as just a first draft, a first read, and then we'll take a couple weeks to review it and have it come back to us for approval at the next meeting. So thank you very much, Mr. Granatino. We sure no further questions before I move on the agenda. Okay, seeing none. We're going to go to the receipt of a donation from our friends at Marshfield Office Supply. Go right ahead there, Mr. Granatino.
Actually, I'll turn that over to Mr. Miller. I believe
Mr. Miller.
Some information there. Or if you don't, I have it here. Yeah. So yeah, they brought forward. I'll jump in here. The business center, Marshall Business Center, which is just right next door to where we just received a donation from the Ocean State Job Lot. So it looks like that plaza is very much in support of our schools. They gave us a handful of different supplies, whether it's more on the business side of things, the office side of things for front offices. We have copier tabs, and window envelopes, regular envelopes, card stock, and coded card stock. just north of, I believe, $1,500 worth of supplies and donations from the Business Center of Marshfield. So we want to thank them and recognize them here, and want to present it to the committee for your acceptance.
Thank you very much, Mr. Granatino. That's quite a generous donation from Marshfield Office Supply. And David Freed and his wife Melissa, great people over there. I'm sure Ms. Brait, through her work with the Chamber, is very familiar with them as well. They're wonderful. So we appreciate that. It's very generous of them. Any members of the committee have any questions? I don't imagine there will be, but if you do, now would be the time. Okay, so we would need a motion to accept the donation from Marshfield Office Supply in the approximate value of $1,500 worth of supplies. Is there such a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved. Mr. Greer, is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? That's a 5-0-0 there, Ms. Pazerski. Thank you very much to the Freeds and Marshfield Office Supply. Okay, wonderful. So I am actually going to take our last vote here before we move on to information. We'll move on to the minutes. So I know we have 3 sets of minutes to take a look at. We've got April 6th, April 26th, and the executive session from April 26th. If folks could just pull those up. I do have an edit on the April 6th meeting minutes, Ms. Pazerski. It's on the first page at the end where it starts, Mr. Greer moved to open the school choice public hearing. And then at the very bottom, it's Mr. Greer moved to close the educational budget hearing. It should be just the school choice. Thank you. And once folks have had a moment to review one final time, the chair would accept a motion to approve the April 6th meeting minutes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from April 6th, 2021.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you very much, Ms. Boyd. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining. Thank you. And now we have those approved, and we also have the answer to the question of which member of the school committee is the fastest reader, and that would be Ms. Campbell. Thank you very much. Moving on to the meeting minutes from the 26th of April. And once folks have had a chance to review those, the chair would also entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the 26th of April 2021. And just as a note, the 2 members who would just have to abstain from that approval vote.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand, saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstaining. Thank you very much. That is a 3-0-2. And same deal with the executive session minutes. Very straightforward. The chair would entertain a motion to approve and release the executive session meeting minutes from April 26th, 2021. Is there such a motion on the floor at this time?
So moved.
So moved from Ms. Boyd. Thank you very much. Is there a second? Second, thank you, Ms. Brait. All those in favor, actually, and I'm sorry, this is a roll call there, Mrs. Pazerski, as it is executive session to release.
Boyd,
Yes.
Ms. Campbell,
Yes.
Ms. Braid,
Yes.
Mr. Greer,
Quick question before I vote. Do I abstain?
Yes, you do, sir.
Yeah.
Then I'll do that.
Okay, abstain, and then if you could just call Ms. Brate again. Oh, I'm sorry, no, Ms. Brate, you were present. I'm sorry.
I was, Mr. Costello.
Yes, you were, and I would,
and Ms. Costello.
yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so that takes care of our meeting minutes. And we'll go on now to informational, and we'll turn it on over to you, Mr. Granatino.
All right, just a couple quick items, so we don't have to hold up the meeting too long. Just want to thank Mr. Christopher Purdy. I don't know if Ms. Kemet's still here, but one of Mrs. Kemet's very talented sixth grade students was my superintendent for the day last Monday. He actually won this opportunity back during the Marshfield Christmas celebration, the program that Mr. Maresco MCs, and he was awarded it then, but that was, looking to set that up for the spring of 20. Well, we weren't here, so we couldn't do it in the spring of 20, so we did it this year. And Chris was great. We had a chance to visit a number of the schools. Daniel Webster, we drove around, and his brothers go to Daniel Webster, so we were able to go there and see them in class, and he was able to see some of his old teachers, and we drove around Governor Winslow. We met with Mr. Maresco, our town administrator, and talked a lot about what we do together between the schools and the town. He was able to visit South River. We got our lunch at South River, which was excellent. And we had a brief cabinet meeting downstairs with Ms. Scalaro and Dr. Martin and Mr. Miller. And Chris was able to sit in there and go over some of the things that we work on here at Central. And then we wrapped back up over at the middle school and walked around a little bit before he went back to his classes at the end of the day. We also had a police escort with Mr. Chief Tavares drove over there and picked up Chris, and we had an escort with a few other patrolmen leading us back to the Ventress. So it was an exciting day for Chris. He did a nice job, got a badge, got to help out Ms. Pazerski around the central office a little bit as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's a nice little tradition we've had now for a couple of years. So just want to thank Chris, and it was a great day for all of us. Also, just want to let you know, and I think most of the elementary schools know this, while each school is going to be a little different, I know one of the big things that we worked towards this spring was to try to reintroduce the moving up day ceremonies that we have typically for our fifth grade students. We weren't able to do that last year. We had a very successful drive-by event that I think was the best of a tough situation last spring. But our principals have been working along with our nurse director, Ms. Landry, to try to put together events that will allow for our fifth graders to be recognized, and they have them planned. They will be outside, weather permitting, and allow for appropriate spacing. They will be able to have parents or guardians there with them. And so we're trying to bring back the events the way they were in the past. It's gonna be a little different, but I think folks are pretty excited to be able to have these moving up days back, where they can be recognized. And again, it'll be outside. If it's inside, we might have to, we have some rain days scheduled, but these are all going to take place that last week of school, either that Monday or that Tuesday of the last week of elementary school with the 5 different schools. So everyone's working hard to make that happen. So just want to share that. Also, just want to, again, recognize and thank Mr. Sylvester, Principal Sylvester from the Daniel Webster School. We haven't had a chance to discuss in an open session here, but he's going to be leaving us at the end of the school year, and he's going to be looking to take on a few new challenges. But we want to thank him for his time here. He worked really, really hard, and again, a kind, caring person who worked well with his team there at the Daniel Webster School. Just a gentleman who really, in his first time as a principal, grew each year and did everything he could to meet the needs of the students, of the staff. During the pandemic, he was fantastic, as have been all of our principals. Daniel Webster was one of the first schools that had to close down for a period of time, and he handled that very well with his team. So we wish him the best of luck in his future endeavors. He's excited, and we wish him well, and he's working real hard right up till the end. But I wanted to recognize him here and thank him for his years of service to the district.
And Mr. Granatino, if I could just very quickly, on behalf of the committee as well, just echo that and thank you. The perfect description of Mr. Sylvester is gentleman.
Yeah.
So we appreciate all of his efforts at leading Daniel Webster, and we wish him all the best, and just want to say that on behalf of the committee as well.
Thank you, Mr. Costello. Also, I just want to thank once more our teachers, our principals, our school nurses. They all had their recognition weeks or days last week, and or the week before as well. And you know, the parents around the district at all of the schools went out of their way to help recognize and celebrate our staff, which again is second to none. I've said it over and over, and I will say it till my last day here. I couldn't have a better staff to work with at all levels, and it was fun to be able to celebrate them as a group over the last week or two. Also want to celebrate the fact that while there's always been a lot of talk of COVID and the impact it's had on schools throughout the year, and each week we're looking at it and we're trying to, you know, work on our numbers, and I think everyone knows the progress that the town has been making over the last month or so, where we're in the green and really, you know, looking forward to that next stage and the continued opening up of spaces by the governor, and as much as we can at the schools, we'll echo that and hopefully be able to do more. But I just want to highlight the fact that last week was the first time since early October, that we had just one case related to our schools, and this week we have two, but we have our lowest number of quarantined students at any time since going back to the middle of October. So I just want to thank everyone out there for their efforts, the parents, the students, the staff. It has not been easy. It has not been comfortable, and I know there's a lot of folks that feel a lot of different ways about this, but the reality is we have had to manage it, and I think the town and the school district and the students in particular and the staff and the parents have done a great job. And I know we want to be able to have more and more of that openness and that freedom, but the work that's been going on is testament when you see these numbers as low as they are. So I just want to thank the whole community for their efforts in making that happen. And I will leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Granatino. Go ahead to Dr. Martin.
I don't think we have met since the We Are Marshfield project, have we?
No.
So there you go. I was able to, I know Mr. Granatino went around, Mr. Miller actually led a group. I think I was able to go and meet all of your groups on here that were working with school committee members. Mr. Costello had his group singing to the person that owned the home, birthday celebration. So many thanks to Mrs. Pazurski, and I think Mrs. Kerman was on here, and to all of the volunteers and the students. And it just was wonderful driving around town, seeing all the green shirts everywhere. And everyone was so thankful that everyone was able to help. So it was a great day. I don't know if you want to add anything before I go on with my
I will jump in. I always butt in, and I haven't done that in a while. So I have to get back in the habit of butting in on your
you can butt in
reports, but and I apologize for not noting that myself. I know we spoke about it before it happened here in the committee, but it is by far one of the most special events in the district. And Ms. Kerman and Ms. Pazurski and the 40 to 50 parent volunteers that helped out, and all those students, I think 177 or somewhere in that area, 170. Again, under tough, challenging times, just did great stuff to represent the district and represent the town all over the community. So it was a special day and a lot of fun. So thank you very much.
I'm going to butt in really quickly if I could too, and just tell a follow-up story. Marie, Joan, you guys are the best, and you know how we all feel about you. But just want to say very quickly too to the students, very lucky to work with the group that I worked with. And we worked, our first house was an 85-year-old woman. She had just turned 85 that week. So as you said, Dr. Martin, we sang her happy birthday. She had us do some small projects in the backyard, and her front lawn was really long. And she, I said, do you want the kids to mow your lawn while we're here? And she says, oh, I would, but my lawnmower broke. Well, today, one of the kids from my group threw his lawnmower in his car and went and mowed her lawn.
Oh.
So I just want to say thank you to our students. Thank you to Joni and Marie for making that happen. But it is clear that the students take something away from it far more than just being outside of the school day. That kid went above and beyond, and I'm sure it's not the only case of a student going above and beyond, so thank you. Go right ahead, Dr. Martin.
All right. I'll give a more detailed update at our next meeting, just around curriculum work that's going to be happening, summer learning that we're planning, summer libraries, trying to keep those open for kids to come and check out books, PD, everything that's coming our way. So I'll give a more detailed update at the next meeting. And I think, MCAS started. We have started in some of our classrooms, and there is a remote option for those students who are learning fully remotely in grades 3 through 8. So we've been working on that, trying to get that in place. So we are underway with the MCAS testing at this point. And then I think that's it for tonight.
Thank you very much, Dr. Martin. Much appreciated. Go ahead on now to Ms. Scalaro. Go right ahead, Ms. Scalaro. Oh, I'm sorry, did I go out of order? No, I didn't. I got you. Go ahead, Ms. Scalaro.
Great, thank you. I just want to briefly make you aware of 2 recent letters that we have received from the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. On May 6th, many of you know, earlier in the year, we worked on our tiered focus monitoring project, and we received the report from that work, which is called Continuous Improvement in Monitoring Plan. This year, Marshfield, we were in Group B, so we submitted evidence under licensure and professional development, parent-student community engagement, facilities and classroom observations, oversight, time and learning, and equal access. So we did receive a report, which you will get a copy of, and we will also publish it. And the areas that we submitted were for special education and for civil rights and other general education requirements. The choices were implemented, partially implemented, or not implemented, and all of our areas were rated as implemented, with 2 areas being rated as partially implemented. And those 2 areas were curriculum review and institutional self-evaluation. So basically what has to happen is that we, as a district, we create 2 goals with action steps, and we will work next year to make sure that we formalize our process. It was partially implemented. I think they're just looking for a more formal process to the first goal for the outcome we will go for under curriculum review. The Marshfield Public School District will ensure that individual teachers review all educational materials for simplistic and demeaning generalizations lacking intellectual merit on the basis of race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, and sexual orientation, and will provide additional activities for balance and context when stereotypes are depicted. So I am working with Dr. Martin and Mr. Granatino and the curriculum leadership team and the principals, and we will have action steps that are outlined in this report that I can answer questions on at the next meeting to make sure that we have a process that makes sure that we're doing that. And the second area is institutional self-evaluation. And that's along the same lines of that we will review all aspects of our K-12 programming to ensure that all students, regardless of race, color, sex, gender identity, religion, national origin, limited English proficiency, sexual orientation, disability, or housing status, have equal access to all programs. There are very specific things that we will do next year to make sure that we are achieve that outcome. We will engage in equity walks, we will complete surveys, and we'll do a thorough review of all our data. So those will have, we'll be working kind of systematically through that next year to make sure that we accomplish that. And there'll be very set deadlines to when we're uploading information to the Department of Education. The second letter that we received from the Department of Education and was from the Director of Special Education Planning and Policy. And this letter was received yesterday. It was sent to me, Superintendent Granatino, and to Sean Costello. And it's just letting us know that Marshfield meets the requirements under Part B of the Individuals with Disabilities Act. So the department assigns each year, our data is analyzed, and the department assigns each district one of 4 categories. So meets requirements, needs assistance, needs intervention, or needs substantial intervention. We received meets requirements. They look at things like 5-year graduation rates, dropout rates, compliance data that we submitted with our tiered focus monitoring, and various other data points. So because of this, the department is not requiring that the district engage in any specific targeted or technical. So it's all good news. We're on the right track. So I just wanted to make you aware that we did receive those 2 letters this week.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Mrs. Scalaro. We appreciate that update as well. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Mr. Miller.
Yeah, real quick, just a quick update on the ESSER CARE Act, the ESSER 3, the $2.7 million, which is really our going to be our funding source, significant funding source for the district over the next couple of years. We still haven't received information from the state on our allocation or any parameters on the grant. We've heard 20%. 20% is supposed to be spent on learning loss, but that's all we've heard at this point. I expect there's going to be more parameters with that grant, but we're still waiting on that information. So we're kind of in a holding pattern as far as that goes. We know we do have a lot of money to spend from the grant, and we've already started planning for some items there, but in relation to the operating budget is where we really need to find out the specifics on the grant before we move into that process. 2 other quick things. Town meeting, I think, was our last. I mean, I'm not really sure what town meeting was. Well, we did receive the money for the fire safety systems. I'll be working with Mr. Russell, facilities manager, and our new fire chief, Mr. Simpson, Chief Simpson, on implementing that project, looking at our elementary schools and seeing how far we can take those funds to better our school system with our fire safety. And lastly, also working with Mr. Russell and our athletic director, Billy Battis, we've begun the process of bidding out a resurfacing of our track over at Marshfield High School. It's in pretty sad state of affairs right now. So a lot of patching's been done, and we're hopeful we'll be able to get that done later this fall. So that's another project Mr. Russell is actually spearheading that. So that's where we are there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Miller. Any subcommittee reports at this time, or go right ahead, Ms. Campbell.
I just have one because Ms. Kemet's on. The Furnace Brook Middle School School Council has been meeting like overtime because we're having so much fun. And I'm just giving you all a heads up that you're going to probably be hearing from me or Ms. Kemet soon about some really great ideas that this group has come up with after hearing like one story from Ms. Kemet about one student. This group that has come together this year, it has snowballed into an incredible like brain child. So be ready for that. And also Ms. Kemet chose the One Book, One School title. And so that will be released soon. So excited. And I know it before everybody else.
Wow, so you can get a head start.
Yep.
Secret.
Well, awesome. I can't wait to hear what it is. Thank you very much. Any other subcommittee reports or committee members I know have something to add before we adjourn?
Yes, I do.
Yes, Ms. Brake, go right ahead.
I have 2 things actually.
Yes.
Dr. Martin, you referenced libraries and books and kids being able to check out books over the summer and all that. I was on the selectmen's meeting last night for something not to do with the school committee, and her name is escaping me. I'm Cindy Marco, maybe. she went in front of the selectmen because they're doing pop-up libraries all over town. So in different locations throughout the summer, they're doing one in Brent Rock, one all different locations. So I don't know if you knew about that. And I just thought that it was a really good opportunity for collaboration, maybe between the town and the schools, if you could connect with them. If you haven't, I'd be happy to help you with that.
Awesome.
That would be great if you could send me the information. That would be awesome.
Sure. Awesome. Okay, great. And then the other thing is that the Marshfield Chamber has been recognizing Citizen of the Year for over 50 years. And I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Mrs. Pazerski for being nominated, and also to Jane Landry, our nurse leader. I'm really excited that we have two awesome candidates. Although they didn't win, we're recognizing all of our nominees this year too, because 2020 was such a crazy year for all of us. And we have so many people to thank for all their hard work. We never would have made it through without all these awesome people we have in Marshfield. So I'll be presenting awards tomorrow night to both of them, and I'll make sure to take tons of pictures and send them off to everybody. So congratulations, Joni and Jane.
Thank you. Are very well said. And on that note too, you know, it was really cool to look at the list of nominees for both Citizen of the Year and Business Person of the Year and see all the ties to the schools, not just Mrs. Pazerski and Jane, two very well-deserved nominations, but also to see one Dick Stetson, Miss Stetson Campbell's father, and also to see the senior class of 2021 get nominated for everything they've faced. And she will kill me for saying it, but nominated for Business Leader of the Year was our own Laura Braid. So congratulations to all of the nominees, but especially to those who have involvement with our schools. Mr. Granatino, you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
I'm sorry?
I saw you unmuted. Did you have something to add?
Oh, no. I could hear my clapping.
Great, there we go. The chair is ready to accept a motion to adjourn, but when we adjourn tonight, I just ask, and we don't typically do this, but would ask that we adjourn in memory of somebody. We have fantastic staff all across Marshfield Public Schools who have given so much throughout the year, but one of those staff at Furnace Brook Middle School is the just wonderful Mary Ann Bursa. I think we've all at some point crossed paths with Mimi. She is just the sweetest. And this past week, she lost her husband, Ed Bursa. And Ed, just so you know a little bit about him, spent over 20 years teaching. He did not teach in Marshfield. He taught at a nearby vocational school. And aside from that service, public service, he also served his country in 2 tours in Vietnam. So Mr. Bursa passed away last week, and I believe the funeral was today. And if you could just please keep Mimi and her son and all their loved ones in your thoughts and prayers. I'd like to ask that when we have a motion tonight, that it be done to adjourn in memory of Ed Bursa, and just please keep Mimi and her family in your thoughts. So the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved. Thank you, Ms. Campbell. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you, Ms. Braid. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstaining, that's 5-0-0. Thank you very much, folks. Appreciate it.